Hey guys, sorry, I am setting a timer this time to help me remember uh, to keep on track. So, timer is set. All right, so again, posterior pituitary, um, which these lines are completely. Oh my goodness. Please. This is the posterior pituitary. Oh, the freaking line. Oh my gosh. I want to erase all of you. All of you. I guess I can't erase you. Whatever. Super annoying. Wasting you guys' life. I'm sorry. This software's all I got. Okay. So my mouse is not showing up now. Yay. Okay. So you can, for study purposes, go ahead and say the melanocyte stimulating hormone that comes from the pars intermedia is, you could just throw it in with the anterior pituitary hormones. That's fine with me. I'm not going to beat you up about it. All right. So again, you've got the direct control for your nervous system running from your hypothalamus into the anterior and going down. And this is in your way. This is so annoying. Oh, the choice. Okay. Okay. But this is a complex one. Change this stupid slide, garbage. Okay. This is an easier one to read. I like it. Some people don't, but I do. It's all about what you like. Okay. And then this is prolactin. There's also prolactin inhibiting hormone, which does exactly what it sounds like it's going to do. Okay. So growth hormone and stimulants, these guys will help get tissue growth, and you can trace this back to a whole bunch of different things, from genetics and estrogen levels to somatotropins, which I told you I was going to try not to use, but whatever. The somatometans, these are metans, tomato. These allow skeletal muscle fibers to increase intake of amino acids. So if you're building up muscles, there's a whole bunch of other growth hormone stimulations. Oh, and this is the point I was going to talk about I wanted to come back to with the bodybuilders. Human growth hormone does not stimulate muscle growth as well as testosterone does. But testosterone is easier to find in a drug test for athletes than human growth hormone. So they think they're getting away with something when they use human growth hormone, but they're not stimulating the muscle growth as well as they think they are. And they're really not. They're just messing up the rest of their body. So don't do drugs. Okay. All right. All right. So growth hormone should be controlled, whether it's being released or inhibited. Right. Now you don't want to do a line? Seriously? Oh, what did I? Grumpy face. Even my grumpy face has a thing. Okay. All right. So when we do feedback control for endocrine, we want to make sure we're paying attention that inhibition comes where it's coming in and where it's going out of. So you've got the red arrow. They didn't give you the key again, but the red arrow is stimulation, and the blue perpendicular line is inhibition. So you'll see growth hormone, it gets inhibited here at the anterior lobe. Growth hormone releasing hormone is not. It's going to be stimulated, but you get down to these somatometans or metans, and they'll either inhibit the releasing factor or stimulate the inhibiting factor, which seems counterintuitive. So make sure you guys go over that the releasing hormone gets inhibited and the inhibiting hormone gets stimulated. So annoying. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I mean, it's in words right here if you're confused. But yeah, that's one of the things people don't always pick up when they read it. They got to see it and like maybe hear it and talk about it a little bit. All right, pars intermedia. This guy is the one I was telling you, and I just anthropomorphize anatomy, whether it's electrons or anatomy. They're always dudes. Don't ask. I don't know. I blame my Latin base. I blame my study of the Latin language since like fourth grade. All right, so you got the melanocyte stimulating hormone, right? And like I said, you can just lump this one in with the where'd he go? Really confusing one. Yeah, your anterior lobe. Just lump it in here. You can put all of these together. That's fine with me. So the only time we do see activity with the pars intermedia um, is women who are pregnant, and then for certain diseases, which I'm not going to go into. You might see a case study with it, but that's about it. All right, posterior lobe, also known as the neurohypophysis. So this one actually has unmyelinated axons from that are hypothalamic neurons. And I mentioned the supraoptic and paraventricular, and then the two hormones associated with it. So oxytocin does, also help. You'll get, there's oxytocin and there's another hormone they give women to induce labor to stimulate contraction of uterus, or uterine contractions. And then let down of milk, and prolactin is also one of these. And it's not like as soon as the baby milk begins like being ejected. I don't know why this word was picked. That's a horrible word. It does come out rather rapidly, for anybody who's seen it, but the woman literally has to hear the cry of a child. Well, first mothers usually, anyways. Mothers who've done that more than once don't have to wait, and they'll actually start lactating before they have a baby. Okay, so if we're looking at targets, again, we've got oxytocin having a role in the prostate gland, as well as in smooth muscles and mammary glands, based on which biological sex they're talking about. But keep in mind, oxytocin is the one that's called the love hormone. And so you don't have to be engaging in intercourse or nursing a baby to experience oxytocin. Okay. There are other places. They just don't do it in these gross anatomy textbooks. By gross anatomy, I mean larger anatomy, not tiny teeny. And here's that figure again, just in case you wanted to be more confused. It shouldn't make it more confused, but you know. Oh, and here's down here, I wanted to show you the T3 and T4 hormones. We're going to see these again in nutrition. We're going to see, you guys just saw that in the nervous system. We're going to see some of this in digestion. Oh, that line shouldn't be there. Development and reproduction, and then renal system. So you guys will see this stuff again. Don't ignore it now. All right, your thyroid gland. This guy lies below your thyroid cartilage for your larynx. I've also heard it called larynx. Larynx. I say larynx. Some people say larynx. The Y is before the N. I don't understand that. Larynx. All right. There are two lobes for this, right? And then it's connected by I love this word, isthmus. Okay. So we've got our thyroid follicles, and they are lined by cuboidal epithelium. Obviously, little bitty squares. Oh, poop and plug, you messed up my square. All right. And they are definitely surrounded by capillaries. They want to absorb iodine, or I should say iodide, from blood. So if you don't have iodized salt in your diet, you'll end up with these large, there's a picture of it in here. You'll end up with these large goiters around your neck. And then we're going to talk about follicle cavities, which have a little bit of viscous fluid in it. And then I call them C cells, but when I say C cells, what I'm trying to abbreviate is clear. A nicer name for them, maybe for everybody, would be parafollicular cells. Okay, so this is a really large thyroid for an adult. That's a pretty, the largest they are is like right after birth. The last 2 weeks in gestation in utero before birth, and then right after birth, like the first 9 or 18 months of life. They're ginormous compared to us. But this lady's is probably on the order of a third of this size. So we'll blame the animations person or whoever drew this out. They're really tiny. Okay, so we are gonna do the cardiovascular system. So do you need to memorize all of this? No, right now? No. Will you see it again? For sure. Right. So what they're outlining here is the clavicle protecting it, right? Or not it, but the arteries and veins, and then the sternum. So and again, it's inferior. Here's your larynx. I think that's all I got. Okay. So here's the thyroid gland itself. When you take a histological cross section of it, and you cut through these cells. But here are the thyroid follicles. And what else? Nope, that's it. Okay. All right. So here are the follicle cavities. Wait, nope, dang it. So follicle cavities, thyroid follicles. C cells, which let's see if they're here. You can see the nucleus in the C cell and it's sideways. And the easiest way to tell the difference between the C cells and the cuboidal epithelium is the C cells are not cuboidal. They don't look like little cubes. And they're usually off-centered. So you'll have a ring around of cuboidal cells, and then you have a C cell off to the side, and a C cell off to the side, and a C cell off to the side. And then these white spots that appear are here, here, and here. These are for capillary. So for all of this that we just saw, right? Okay. Showed you that. This is just when you hear the word thyroglobulin, this is where we store it in the thyroid follicle. But again, like I said, our thyroids shrink as we get older. By the time you're about 24, 26, that's about, yeah, they're about gone by then. I mean, they're still there. They still exist and they still function, but they're so much smaller. All right. So the thyroglobulin, this is where we synthesize globular proteins, which you will get to with the immune system. And it's again by the follicle cells. They get secreted into the colloid, right? Colloid. I don't care how you pronounce it. Okay. And then tyrosine is going to be involved so that we can get to our thyroid hormones, right? And then these are the ones I was talking about earlier, thyroxine and triiodide bananas. Triiodide thyrionine. You could just say T3, that's fine. And T4. And we're going to see these again when we get to nutrition. All right. This figure is nice because it's got everything numbered out in the direction that it goes, but then it shows you how things go, like from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, 6, 7. So there is a cycle going on right here where we have T3 and T4 exit. But you guys can follow through this, and I'm sure that you can read this on your own. What did you say? Yes, you get your dietary iodine delivered, which is right here. Boop. Then you get them they diffuse, and the thyroglobulins containing T3 and T4 take them up. Then the follicles remove the thyroglobulin remove the T3, T4 containing thyroglobulin. They break them down with lysosome digestion, so the T3 and T4 are now usable, and then it can go back into your bloodstream. I know I oversimplified that, but I'm trying to not bore you guys. All right, homeostasis, the important stuff. Okay, you can have homeostasis disturbed by a drop in T3 and T4, a drop in body temperature, or blood. Blood or body temperature. Wait, I'm a dork. I definitely need to eat. All right, so if the T3 and T4 concentrations in your blood drop or your body temperature drops, you're going to have a disruption of homeostasis. Like if you were to be thrown into icy cold water, you don't have very long to live because your homeostasis is being disrupted. To restore it, you need to take in T3 and T4 into your blood through your diet, from your diet. And we'll get into that when we get to digestion and nutrition. But it'll also help you can maintain your body temperature. So it's not going to help if you're in ice cold water, but it will help if you're just walking around doing everyday stuff. All right. So TBGs would have been nicer if they told us this abbreviation before. As long as you guys know they bind thyroglobulins, that's fine with me. Albumin, we're going to see again. I'm not going to beat you up about this one. All right. So I have a cousin, for example, who had thyroid cancer. So they pulled out the majority of her thyroid. So without the follicles being present, because she had her thyroid removed, she has to take TSH, like oral. I think she takes it. She can either have it subdermal injections, inguinal, which is under your tongue, or there's a cream, I think. But they're super crazy expensive. But people who have undergone the surgery, they will die. They will not be able to maintain their body temperature, and they will literally die. So you have to be very careful with that. And then keep in mind, we're going to see it also binds to the plasma membrane receptors. Oops, stop working. And then we need it to produce our thyroid hormone, which is what she just has to take it. So it pretty much affects the entire body, which is why I was telling you guys start early on endocrine, because it is no easy peasy system. It's going to get to the target cells by the transport system we call blood. Okay, that looks super creepy. I don't even like that. Super annoyed. Can't even change it to eraser without clicking. Erase. Garbage. All right, so blood is basically how this bad boy is going to get around before it binds a receptor. Okay. And the receptors can be in the cytoplasm of a cell, in the nucleus of a cell, or it can be on the surface of mitochondria. Okay. So if you don't have these thyroid hormones, when a child is growing, they will not develop. Typically, they have abnormal development. All right. So when genes get involved in breaking down sugars, glycolysis or glycolysis, if you prefer, and production of ATP, we see what is called the calorogenic effect, which is activation of genes from these processes. And we get an increased energy consumption and heat generation from your cells as a result of all that, right? So this is responsible for what could be seen as a strong, immediate, and short-lived burst of cellular metabolism. I don't know, the hair in my face is bothering me. All right, so the clear cells or the C cells, and by C I mean letter C. They're producing the calcitonin, the CT, which I don't abbreviate that, but whatever. You can if you like. Okay, and this will help. I like how it's C cells, letter C, calcitonin, and then calcium, right? And then kidneys with a K. So you can get the calcium into your digestive tract. So, anyways, I like that it's all C's here, except for with the kidneys. Yeah, I had to throw that out there, didn't you guys? Okay, not you guys, but like the whatever. I'm getting tired. All right, so I want to finish this slide before I move on to these guys and then wrap up this stupid video. All right, so affects the thyroid hormones. You get an increase of oxygen and energy consumption in children. This will increase the body temperature. That increases your heart rate and forces contraction of your heart. So increases the sensitivity to your sympathetic nervous system stimulation, maintaining a normal sensitivity for respiratory centers and oxygen, as well as carbon dioxide concentration. So this can lead to stimulate red blood cells, which I abbreviate RBCs, red blood cells, as well as activity in other endocrine tissues. And then it can also increase the turnover rate in minerals for your bone. Okay, so I'm going to see you in the next video.